Alright, this is attempt number 2. I was 10 minutes deep in my last video and I deleted it on accident, so this is great. My first location is actually my third location, but I'm kind of working backwards in favorites, I guess. My last one was my favorite, so I'll save that one. But I went to Mid-Michigan Health in Alpena. I observed she's actually my aunt. She's the manager of patient safety at Alpena, Mid-Michigan Health. Her department is quality and safety. Her name is Annie Cosbit. Her number is 989-255-6984. When we were there, I kind of walked with her. What she does every day, she walks through each department, or that department specifically, per like whatever day it is. She bases it off what department she goes to. When she visits with the nurses, she walks through rounds informing and teaching not only the nurses but the patients as well about safety and quality issues. While in nursing units, I'd watch her help out with the nurses with call lights and as needed, whether it be paperwork or helping patients with anything they really needed. I also talked about her other requirements of her position, and she works with initiative programs to prevent harmful acts to patients, such as like falls, pressure ulcers, sepsis, things like that. She performs a lot of meetings and different presentations based on safety and quality issues among every department in the hospital. So she said that's fun because she gets to work with every department, that she can possibly imagine throughout the whole building. I really thought it was cool. She used to work in the OR. She used to be the head OR nurse, and she said she loves it and she misses it every day. But she wanted to touch upon a larger population of patients. In this way, she's actually affecting a larger group, and she said she really enjoys that. I don't really have any negatives, just because it really opened my eyes to, because professors don't really tell you about how when you get like a degree. She has a BSN, and no one really tells you that even though you have a limited degree, you can really do anything you want. You can always get promoted to whatever position once you're in that building. Really, obviously, I'm sure you need in some circumstances you might need more education, but in her stance, she was able to get promoted to a better position. My second location was at St. Mary's of Saginaw. I went into the invasive cardiology unit, observing the cath lab. There I was with Kathy D, or I was supposed to be with Kathy D. Her number is 907-8288. I didn't really know how I felt about this place. I was really excited going into it, and I left kind of disappointed. I was told to show up at 8 o'clock, and I was there at 7:45, 8 o'clock, and when I went up to her department, I asked for her, and they walked me up to her, and I said, "Hi, I'm here to observe," and it looked like she was in a deer in headlights almost. I think she forgot that I was coming and it wasn't prepared. So she said, "Well, we don't really have anything planned till 9 o'clock, so if you want to leave, go get a coffee, whatever, you can come back." And I was kind of turned off at the moment, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'll go get a coffee. I'll run in the local gas station or something." Well, then the lady that brought me there, her name was Sarah, I think, she immediately grabbed me and took me to the men's dressing room so I can get scrubs on. So I was like, well, I was going to leave, but didn't really get the chance to. So an exercise physiologist let me inside the men's locker room. I changed in my scrubs. So at that point, I couldn't really leave the hospital. So I had about an hour to kill. So in my scrubs, which are very comfortable, I actually kept them. I was able to keep them. I sleep in them now. I found a local waiting room, and I was watching TV for about an hour. So once I finally was in the cath lab and observing what I came to observe, I was seeing patients who had a positive stress test, and they needed to go in with the cath to see if any intervention was needed. I also saw several patients needing stents who were post MI. I had a couple patients that were 1, 2 stents. I had one that was 3 to 4. I also got to see a patient get a temporary pacemaker in, or it was almost like a test to see if they needed a pacemaker. They'd leave it in for a couple weeks at a time, I think it was. and they just make a small incision in between the intercostals, third and fourth intercostals, and it was just like they made a half inch incision, and they just popped this little, can't remember what it was called, into their, right above their heart, and they could connect that to some sort of technology when they came back in to see if a pacemaker was needed. Some of the positives, I guess, was really interesting. It was really cool to see how like the heart works and all the different blood flow throughout through the arteries of the heart. I'm fascinated with the heart, so it was really cool to see. I love learning everything about the heart, so I kind of said that twice. But a lot of the negatives were I didn't feel welcome. Like when I walked in, I just felt like I was just some kid, and the supervisor just kind of left me, and I kind of had to find my own way around the whole time. So when I would leave one cath lab, I'd stand in the hall and I had to kind of be assertive and say, "Do you mind if I come in and observe and talk with you?" And the nurses were really welcoming. All the nurses were like, "Yeah, come on in." And I asked questions when I could. Obviously, they had to document all the medications the doctors were using and everything like that. So I had to select, or I had a select time frame when I could ask questions. But they were very helpful. It was kind of discouraging because I was actually looking into going into the cath lab as a career eventually, and I learned quickly that the cardiologists do all the invasive interventions. I was under the impression that if I were to get my 2-year certificate or whatever, I would be able to do stents and interventions and things like that. I quickly learned that was probably not the case. So overall, I mean, I'm glad I went. It really taught me a lot. I really enjoyed watching what was going on, but like I said, I didn't really feel welcome, and it wasn't really what I expected. My final location was at St. Mary's of Saginaw. I was in the cardiac rehab unit with Jason. His cell phone number is 810-513-5707. I really enjoyed this. In a way, it was disappointing. Not really disappointing. It wasn't really what I thought it was going to be, but I also didn't see everything that a cardiac rehab would on a daily basis. I saw him giving patients their daily exercise. He would take blood pressure before and during exercise, and some of the patients would require a blood glucose measurement if they were diabetic. I did get to see a lot of cool patients, though. I had a couple COPD and heart failure patients. Most of them were post-MI, which is pretty understandable. The coolest one was a heart transplant. I did not expect to see one patient like that upon my visit. She had something covering her mouth. She told me that it was just something to reduce infection or reduce risk of infection. Jason was awesome. He was a fantastic teacher. He was open to all questions. He was very good at talking, very welcoming, made me feel very comfortable. We just kind of talked about his education. I told him I was interested in grad school, and he told me he went to, I think, Oakland it was. I could be wrong there. Maybe it was Wayne State. I'm not sure. He expressed some of the positives and negatives of his career, which are the positives would be low stress, and obviously he gets to help people on a daily basis. You get to watch their progression throughout the program. Some of the negatives he said were sometimes it's slow and uneventful, but kind of comes with the territory, I guess. There wasn't anything I really disliked about my visit with Jason. He was super welcoming. He loved teaching and answering all my questions, and he was great. His nurse, his RN on staff, was just as welcoming, and any question I had, they answered it and didn't hesitate, and always made me feel welcome. It did raise some concern, like I said, about cardiac rehab. It seemed kind of slow paced for me. However, if I were to observe Jason while we're going through the interviewing or consulting process, I think I'd enjoy that, kind of seeing what the patient's goals were and see what they wanted to get back to, and like I said, their goals. I truly enjoyed the prescribing exercise and learning about how to combat all the special considerations that come with each patient. So I think that'd be a lot of fun if I could do that as a career. I'd love it. I love my exercise prescription class right now with Becca. I love looking at all aspects of finding out how to prescribe exercise with other underlying conditions and things like that. So I learned a lot, and I really loved it. So I really wish I could have kept my first round at this. It was a lot better. I talked a lot better and cracked a couple jokes, but forgot them. So hopefully this one's good enough. Thank you.